You gotta make sure you got everything together.
It's always something, man. Well,
what's up? We'll wait for our people to come on in.
Bring it up.
Waiting for the people to come on in. Come on in. So what's up, G-Man? Did you see the latest episode of Snowfall? Did you watch it? Anybody that's live with us right now, have you seen Snowfall? If you haven't seen Snowfall, you might not want to watch
season finale.
Season finale.
Yeah.
And it's a lot going in. We're gonna go over pretty much the whole season. Hey, cousin, how you doing? We're gonna go over the whole show in its fullness. What the show represented to us. You know what we liked about the show.
I like nigga shit.
You know what our thoughts were about the show. You know,
the Muse says she ain't caught up. Well, we might as well hang up the show, right?
Yeah. You know, you can tap back in about I guess what 30, 40 minutes.
I don't know.
You want to start off with that, or we want to start off with some stuff that?
Shit, that's up to you, man. I ain't tripping.
What's up, E? Yeah.
E?
Well, I mean, I think the Snowfall situation is something that everybody's been waiting on. So we definitely want to talk about that.
Without saying anything, did you like the last episode?
Yeah, I did. You know, I have my issues in regards to, for me, it's always how black men are seen in a way. You know what I mean? Like, I always have an issue with that. And granted, it is based on real life events and certain things that actually did happen in the black community. It's still fiction.
It's very fictional in comparison.
Right. So that means you can take a lot of liberties in regards to what you want to do about the fiction in regards to the story, right?
Right.
So,
nigga, you on episode 5, you sleep.
We'll do all we can to not talk so much about the episodes as much as we're talking about the show as a whole.
Yeah.
So let's start off with that. All right, guys. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you for following. If you're watching us on Instagram, thank you for following. We appreciate you guys for tuning in with us every Tuesday and Thursday night. Welcome. My name is Choice Skinner. Welcome to another episode of CMCT. Change your mind, change your thinking. I am your host, Choice Skinner. Next to me, seated in the right-hand side or the right-hand power position is my man, my co-host, Antonio Dean. I'm going to say it, and then I'm going to let him say it.
Well, Antonio Dean.
There you go. He says it so smooth. That's part of the reason why I let him say it like that. So it's smooth as hell. Yeah, guys. So tonight we're going to be talking about pop culture and what's going on in the news. And we're starting to show off, obviously, talking about Snowfall. So there will be spoilers, but at the same time, we're not talking about every episode in spoilers. So if you're in season 3, I binged watched it last week before I headed to LA. I wanted to be up, and then I caught up on the episodes as they dropped. The last 3 episodes I caught up through normal time. And one of the things I can say about the show is that, first off, when the first season happened, I clocked out. You know what episode I clocked out on?
I already know. I don't remember if that was episode 1 or 2 or whatever, but I know what episode you're talking about.
Yeah, it was episode 3 if I'm correct. It might have been 2, but I think it was 3.
The sodomy.
Yes. I clocked out, man. That I was like, is this where y'all going? Is this where y'all going? And the funny thing about it is that was it. That was the only time something like that went down.
No, okay, yeah, but there was other.
There was.
In the last season they showed some. Who was it?
The auntie.
No, well, yeah, she was gay.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean for the men.
Mm-hmm.
The Mexican dude, the KGB,
Mm-hmm.
that dude.
Wasn't
he like?
Yeah, he was same sex loving. Yeah. I fast forward that. Honestly, I did. There were moments where if there were characters that I weren't really invested in, bless you 2 times, brother, I would fast forward it, honestly, and still be caught up on. But I do that with a lot of shows. It wasn't just with Snowfall. A lot of shows, they call it fluff or a filler. I'm very familiar with it because I'm in the film industry. I know that this is not essential, It's all
to the actual story. Yeah, it literally didn't have shit to do with the story.
Yeah, it's the writers, sometimes lagging on moving the story forward, and they want to push their agendas. All shows are like that. All films are like that. People have a message they want to push.
The thing about it, man, filler used to be character building.
Yes, character development, character building. Yeah,
It's not that anymore.
No.
It's literally just filler.
yeah, filler and agenda, and it's like you're watching the screen. You're like, what is this all about? Where does this add to anything?
Not imperative to the story whatsoever.
Right. And so I had clocked out. And even granted, I had several actors that were in my acting studio who were on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I would watch their performances. And then also
They do.
Eamon Joseph, who I know personally, I've worked with him as an acting coach to an actor. I supported him greatly. So he would have watch parties in LA.
Oh,
And I would go and watch. And I think the episode when Franklin gets in prison was one of the things that I had saw. And then after that, I never really paid any mind to it. But I did know that a lot of people were really, excited about the show, and people would put stuff on Facebook and say, man, that last episode, or wow, this and that. And what do you think about the story that drew you to it?
Rick Ross.
Rick Ross, his story, Freeway with Rick.
Yeah, and then too, me and my mom, we just, I want, not to say too much about my family.
Yeah, of course.
We really like gangster shit.
Right.
So.
And I do too. I mean, granted, a lot of people know me. They say, man, you're so educated and you seem like a very easygoing person, nice guy. I grew up in the projects, man. I grew up around the crack epidemic.
Right.
Just like LA and California had, they had that serious thing. We had it too.
Oakland was the city of dope.
Yeah, man. And so those stories, like New Jack City would play on repeat, and Boys in the Hood would play on repeat. Mm-hmm. We were all catching it on each coast. On each coast, we were catching it. And so those stories I like to watch because I actually knew people who were on crack or who slang it, and as much as the black community suffered during that time, and
my first PlayStation came from a crackhead.
Did it really?
You know what I'm saying?
Did they have the brick packing too? And like the VHS, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Well, a lot of our shit came from the dope fiends in the neighborhood.
Yeah. I mean, God forbid it ends up being something that came from your house that they selling back to you.
We had those kind of situations, man. They coming and stealing puppies and all kind of shit out the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's the hood, man.
Yeah.
It's just the fucking hood.
Yeah, if you survived that era, because it was a tumultuous era. It wasn't, you think about it, a lot of young black men and women were being put in prison, and disenfranchised in a way that it didn't make any sense. Right. There was something that one of the guys had said on YouTube in response to an interview, a review that one of the guys did of the show, and it's that line that what's the little guy's name? I can't remember his name. Leon said, it's blood money.
Oh,
He
yeah.
said that it's blood money. And as I've gotten older, man, I realize money is money. All money is blood money.
So white people, all money is money.
That's right. And
they do not give a shit.
No, and you have to understand, guys that's listening and watching, white people commit horrendous crimes.
Against humanity.
Against
nature.
Yeah. Morality, nature, humanity. And that's blood money that they create, that they make from their actions and their sinful deeds and their desires of wanting money because, for the love of money, not that having money, which is kind of what I want to talk about when it came to Franklin, because a lot of people were like, yeah, his love for money, he was an addict for the money. And I'm saying, no. Franklin understood generational wealth.
Yep.
Franklin understood that nothing can move in this world without the money. And that's why the money meant so much.
It's the same as with trade. Motherfuckers, when it wasn't money, people did everything that they could to accumulate resources for trade.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we both know that we like the show because of the grind, the gangster, And another reason why I wasn't so invested was because Damson Idris is a British actor. He's a British actor. And I knew it from off the booking because originally what people don't know is that the first pilot of Snowfall was shot and they went back and they reshot it. So I actually knew guys that held certain roles in the first pilot. Farley was one of those people. And he lost his job because they went and reshot it and they hired Desmond and they went in a different direction. And so a lot of the people didn't get to come back to the show, and it was a very painful time for them. And I have a particular thing about British actors. I mean, we can go over that another night, but if you watch any of my interviews or anytime I speak on them, it's no disrespect, and we should probably talk about that tonight too, about how the Akata word is becoming even bigger, and Morgan Freeman and what he said. It was about the crack epidemic, the beginning of the crack epidemic in Los Angeles. You know how many niggas could audition for the role and book it and play it? No, they got Damson or Desmond. They got Damson, and they coached him. They went and got I think it was Mac 10. Mac 10 was his dialect coach. Yeah, they went and got Mac 10 to be his dialect coach.
What a nice job.
You know what I mean? And so good for him. He got banked. Yeah. You know what I mean? He got paid. But it was like, all right. But I can say this: as time went on, watching the show, I see that he grew into the role.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
Frank was saying, yeah.
I don't remember which episode it was. It was like probably 7 or 8 or some shit. But when Frank would call Teddy a nigga, I was ecstatic.
Yeah. You know? You talking about just recent, this last season.
This last season. I remember which episode.
Yeah, you posted something more about that.
Oh, yeah. That was a classic moment. And that was his shining moment.
It was. It was because of how he said it, number one. He delivered it correctly, right? And then the fact that he even said it. Because I think, and going back to what a lot of the guys were saying on YouTube, their judgment of Franklin Saint, I don't think people were really paying attention to what he was saying. They were watching the show, but I don't think they were really listening to what he was saying. Some people would post certain things, certain key sentences and phrases he would say, but because of stuff like that, he
understood business and empire, man.
He did.
He was really trying to build an empire.
He did, and see, so that brings us to my issue. Okay. I love the show. I didn't have as many problems as some people I've been watching and reading that they had the last episode. My problem became in every show dealing with the dope game, they never get out.
I mean, and that's not necessarily a terrible thing. Niggas shouldn't be. Niggas should not be doing it. But in real life, Rick Ross did find vindication. He's excelling right now today. T-shirts, books, and working on a biopic. And, I don't think that did the story justice in its entirety. Were they obligated to? No, but it would have been nice.
Yeah, for a change, because we all know that nothing good comes from nothing bad, but that's not always true. You see,
not for white people.
Right. See, that's my point, and so that's the issue that I had. If you've watched the show and you got an opinion, please chime in. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you feel. But my driving thorn is that okay, he could have went a lot of different ways, but the way they went with him was, okay, this cycle repeats, and that's been done before.
Plenty of times.
Yeah, the cycle repeats. And it's like, okay, but even then, you're saying you're alluding to he has an addictive personality. He went from being addicted to money to being addicted to the sauce.
Well, they made him like his dad. Right,
which is like, okay, they both had different experiences on why they went to the sauce.
Absolutely.
And so it was like, all right, is that a thing of convenience, or you were looking to shock the audience? So you didn't want him to die, but you wanted to shock the audience.
He had so much discipline. I personally felt that was very disrespectful.
It's a cop out.
It was very disrespectful to his character.
I agree. I agree, because he would have found a way. That's a driving force of who you are. You will find a way, even if he remained evil, even if he was remaining like, yo, I gotta stay on top. I gotta figure it out.
Yeah, whatever.
For him to be where he's at like that, and then okay, well, what does that leave us with?
I didn't like that moment with his mother either.
Yeah, that was horrible.
In prison.
That was horrible.
That was awful, man.
Yeah.
I don't think it was warranted.
No.
Especially, I understood they tried to make it where he was deluded. Based on his addiction to money or whatever the fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And they had that moment with him and Teddy, where they basically wanted to make it where he understood that him and Teddy were really the same.
Mm-hmm. And that's not true.
And then no, not at all.
Because of first off, the cultural difference, black men and white men.
Cultural difference, but the plight.
Yeah, the plight is different.
The plight is completely different.
Yeah,
nigga, Teddy, he came from a fucking wealthy father. Him and his brother flying and all
never
that.
Never had for once.
The fact that they even ended up in the CIA, that's not somebody.
Privilege.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think they really tainted the lore of his character and even the power of his character in that breakdown, or that being the fallout.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about his auntie? Like, a couple of episodes back when I was watching,
I wanted her to die.
Yeah, and I can probably attest to why.
I think she deserved it over Jerome.
Yeah, definitely. Jerome died because of her, no doubt about it.
Which I wasn't surprised about that to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
But goddamn, man, especially him he's one of the main ones even since the beginning. Like, nigga, the whole point of this, we got to get out because he was an old school cat.
Yeah.
And he kept saying that. He's like, nigga, we got to let this go. And she begged him to stay. And
let's be clear about the reason why she wanted him to stay. Because she, as a woman, was finally getting the respect she felt she deserved. Which is ludicrous.
Yep.
You would jeopardize your well-being and the well-being of others just for a little bit of power.
Sure.
And to be able to make decisions and say, I'm in charge. And you still weren't in charge. Because we're talking about the 80s. The 80s was a different era when it came to how black women were.
Well, she was still a puppet to Teddy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Hey, Scott. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She definitely was. And in her mind, she felt like, well, at least I'm above Franklin.
And that bitch still got away.
And she still got away. Yeah, for the rest of her life, she's going to be looking over her shoulder. Right? But
depending on where she is.
Yeah, she still
probably get away from whoever those people are. From there.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a problem with her never taking accountability.
Sure did.
And
she was always the victim.
Yeah, and she blamed Franklin for everything. And it's just like, one of the things that he said in the last episode, and he reminded people, like, we got here because of me. You know what I'm saying? We got here because of me.
He was the mastermind.
Yeah, he was. And I don't think he got the credit that he deserved for that. How do you feel about the one woman in his life that he thought he could count on?
I think.
Is that true to life, you think, more than anything?
Honestly, I don't think that was a terrible thing that she did, taking the kid away from him. Mm-hmm. Look at how much she did stick through.
Yeah, she did.
You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, the child was more important than his extreme obsession with however he thought they were going to recover. But you could tell even the aura around it was that it was a losing battle. That there was no way for him to win that. His mom wasn't on his side. Leon wasn't on his side no more.
What do you feel about that? Because Leon could have, okay, you got 3, you can give him 1, right?
I don't think it would have helped.
Okay. Because he had already gave him 5 and he ain't got that back.
Well, not even that. I don't think. What would he have been able to recover? Teddy's dead. He's got the CIA dude, or not CIA, the KGB dude. Locked up or whatever, and then he turned him over, so he
had no playing cards left.
No, but and if he would have got the money and started playing up again, they would have been on his ass.
Right. Well, I at the end, I knew he knew that going back into the game wasn't the smartest move. He was just looking at that
having that property.
Yeah, that property.
Well, yeah.
Which is the same thing. Listen, this is what I'm talking about. This is why I'm saying this, guys. It's the same thing that happened in Power.
I didn't watch this.
Oh yeah, no Power, man.
Too late for me.
Yeah, I I would tell you not to watch it because of how it ends.
Okay.
Like there were brilliant.
You tell
moments.
me, I'm probably
but there were brilliant moments in the show. But last season, it was just like, are you serious? Like, what does this become? And the same thing, he wanted to get out. Whereas you look at someone like Nino Brown, who didn't even think of like, you know,
he wanted to be the king of the ghetto
and stay there.
That was it.
And cool with that. But you know, Power, you know, Ghost is looking to get out the game, and nobody wanted him to get out. And he was doing things to same thing like Franklin. They investing in the community, building.
They don't see outside of where they are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and man, that happens even in just think about the professional workforce. You know, I dealt with the same kind of shit when I was in the military. Y'all niggas ain't seeing what the fuck I'm speaking up about and why I'm getting in trouble for speaking out against the bullshit that's happening to y'all and that's happening to me, and nobody had my back. Mm-hmm. Plain and simple. Mm-hmm. You know, it's always the same thing across the board, and I don't know if that's just our community or if that's people in general. Being content. Mm-hmm. You know, being content with enough to wake up every day and eat and, you know, enjoy their vices, whatever that may be. You know, people, I won't even say that people settle, but people, doesn't take much to make someone content.
Yeah, because it's all of those base things.
Because they make the best of a fucked up situation and think that that's as good as it's going to get.
Because they come from nothing, right?
So, well, yeah, nigga, I had your back. My Mexican Eric, you know. But he was one of those few people, you know. But we weren't enough. I mean, 2 or 3 of us, and then the rest of, you know, hundreds of people in the unit. Exact same shit that happened with Snowfall, man.
Yeah. He was fighting an uphill battle on his own. Yeah. And they didn't see the bigger vision. Get out of this and get into this. That's what, you know.
Now I don't know what happened where that year passed on there. How come Leon didn't take him with him to Ghana?
That's a good question.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was about himself because
would Franklin's arrogance have made him say no? I doubt it.
Well, I think at the point when Franklin got to that position of literally threatening his life, he probably stayed away from him at that point. When he pulled the gun on him, Franklin pulled the gun on him, I think he was like, yeah, I can't be around.
Yeah, I can get
you know what I'm saying? He want that money that I got. He want the $3 million. And so he became a surrogate to Franklin's mom because she felt like he was the one thing that she did right by influencing him.
She did say that.
Yeah, you know.
She said that he surprised her the most.
Right. Well, you know, he had a lot to overcome as well, man. You know, the child died by his hands pretty much.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, what do you feel about the Mexican wrestler getting away? He's good. Maybe he can reconnect.
I think he was one of the most innocent people, man. He really was just wrestling and somehow ended up, you know, having to deal with all of that extra shit. To be real, I think it was right that he got away, and then, you know, obviously they didn't write it in there, but I like to think that he got back to his family and shit.
Yeah, I mean, unless, you know, because if you watch the show, if you know anything about the news, there is going to be a sideline show based on Wanda.
Oh, interesting. Good,
so
man.
yeah,
she's a good actress too.
Yeah, and they set it up so that way, basically now we're talking about it, which is really interesting, man. You know, it's, to me, living in LA, and you know, before I ever got to LA, my only reference was Boys in the Hood or Minister Society. You know what I mean? In regards to the culture. Yeah. And then when you get out there and you see there's so much more, especially music, because I'm from music, realizing how much music had, you know, the West Coast had an effect on music, right? Because a lot of those songs were local hits. Oh yeah. You know what I mean? And people from all different parts of the world went sampled Zap and sampled Roger and sampled, you know what I mean? You know, the different songs that were hits out there, you know. And you hear these songs in different regions, not realize that it came from the West Coast. So for me, my reference was Boys in the Hood, Mr. Society, you know what I'm saying? And not knowing that there was so much more to the culture, so much more to, oh, there's another thing I talk about too. I'll talk about that. But So getting out there, I learned a lot more, and having friends who were from there, from the Bay Area, from Los Angeles, from Hollywood, all the different areas of Los Angeles, it brought too. What do you feel about that? The authenticity of the show, because you're from that era and that area.
I'm not from that area.
You're a baby. You're a baby. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm Bay Area, so I'm Northern California, Southern California.
But the energy is, I mean, right? Yeah. No.
Northern California, Southern California, completely different.
Okay.
However, I did spend some time down in San Bernardino, man, a couple of years.
And that's, if you don't know anything about LA, that's
San Bernardino
LA.
that's the major
that's LA.
of Southern California.
Yeah.
I think that the energy, fairly authentic. I think all of the other, I think Leon was probably the best embodiment of it. Leon and
Jerome.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think that they were the best embodiment of it overall.
Yeah.
And even Franklin's dad.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
As far as authenticity goes, I thought that was about as close as the show really hit on it. The culture, how they spoke, DeAndre Bonds.
Yeah. Well, DeAndre's from
he's from there.
Yeah, he's pure.
You know,
he's pure. Genuine.
Even though he was being weird and whatever they did with his character.
Yeah.
But,
and they never capped that off. Like, that was something that people were asking
that
about.
was strange.
Yeah, what happened to this? But they probably bring him back on the next show.
The last thing he did was got Louis to wherever she was going, right? I think that was about. But this is a sidebar, damn near, but it's not hard to capture LA because that is really all anyone thinks that California is anyway.
So, drive-bys, the gang life,
you know. And not that that's not happening anywhere else in California. I'm not even saying that that's what's important about it. But people know LA because of Hollywood. You know, they don't know that the Bay Area really exists outside of San Francisco. Even nobody even talks about Sacramento. That's the fucking capital.
Yeah,
right?
pretty much. Yeah. Were you surprised by anything in specific, or were you pretty much knew where things were going each season?
The weirdest season was the one before this one. I think that was the one with the tiger and all of that bullshit. Yeah. And, you know, whatever that shit was about. But I think that was a throwaway season, to be real with you. Something told me that they were basically coming to a head at that point.
And it's smart to end stuff
before it has to get weird.
Yeah, or people lose interest. Yeah. You know? What do you feel about, and this is one of the things that I was saying, I never felt that he had an overreaching arc. Like, his arc, like,
I thought it was pretty straightforward.
Yeah, but at the same time, for me, it's like, you know, he found love, right? He found love, and
there was a lot of tragedy.
Very Shakespearean. Very Shakespearean.
Full of tragedy.
Very Shakespearean, which, you know, that listen, Wanda was the least of who I thought would escape it. Because she was so deep, man. She was so deep in it. You know what I mean? To the point where she was, you know, hurting other people physically. Yeah. And remember, she goes back to her grandmother. Her grandmother won't even open the door.
No, that was real shit. I've seen that.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So the fact, that surprised me, because I hadn't been keeping up with the show. So when I was binging it, I thought she was gonna die.
I didn't think she was gonna stay in the show at all.
Yeah. I thought she was gonna be dead. I thought she was gonna die, and it was a shock to keep seeing her. And
it was. I guess that was the balance of a lot of the tragedy, man. Was her and Leon. You know, for whatever reason, man, he found it in his heart. You know,
right?
And not that he was this super noble. You know.
Yeah, because he really wanted to help his people, and that's why he had went back and stayed. Yeah. And she gave him that ultimatum. She was like, "You gotta come," and he wasn't gonna go.
Nope, he gave her the money. But then, so that was the thing. He gave her the money to go, but then apparently he went with her
because he went and saw Franklin's mom, and she was like, "You need to go."
Oh, that's why.
You gotta go. Okay. Yeah, go. She's like, "Just please go." And so that was the driving force to make him go. But I like kind of what you said, man. Like, you know, how come he didn't? it's like Franklin. Once Franklin lost everybody, they never came back until he came back after he came back from Africa. And to see
him fucking $20 for the shit. Stupid.
What's going on, Marcus? I know, right? It was horrible to see that, man, because when you see, for me, like, I have this special affinity as far as power for black men.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I
in whatever capacity that is.
Yes, absolutely. Calling the shots, because, Musa Mansa, everybody always talks about, they want to do it. Mansa Musa, thank you. They always talk about his story. They don't realize he owned slaves and he wasn't the nicest guy on the planet.
Well, no, you don't get rich without destruction.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You can't be powerful without destruction.
There's something suffers, man. And
they say a man will either create, or a man will either build or destroy, right? And
some people destroy to build.
Well, that's what I was going to say. A man should live long enough to be patient enough to understand when to do either. Right? Somebody like that, man, you live a long time. You will have done some fucked up shit, but you also will have done some great things. Yeah, and where you can always see the contrast between him and Teddy, where they both, when they had their first kill, right, or they had the first times they had Teddy got into it a lot quicker than Franklin did. Yeah, I mean, it was because he just like when he hit him. I think in the second season or even the first, man, it bleeds into each other. When he hit him with the car and then kidnapped him, you know what I mean? Yeah. And had him there and was torturing him. Over the money, right? Yeah. No. Earlier on when he was checking Franklin to see if he could control and manipulate him, you know what I'm saying? And if he could count on him in a sense. Because there is no trust in that game at all. There's no trust, even in corporate business, man. A lot of people like, I trust. No, man. Never trust anybody in business.
Ever. When you look at it and you say how, because Teddy's first introduction to death was when he had to go and clean up that mess that happened at the house.
And with his brother?
The dead people. Yeah, that was his brother, right? They killed the girl and everything. Yeah, and then he had to kill the guy that killed the girls and everybody. And he did it out of disgust at first. He killed the dude out of disgust.
But it was also because y'all niggas about to get everybody caught.
Right. Whereas for Franklin, he did it out of necessity. You know what I mean? He had to do it. But seeing how the show dealt with that, you know what I mean? It's always odd when towards the end, you see how they become killers. How they literally become killers.
Oh, he went insane in that last episode.
Yeah, he did. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to spoil that, but, because it's a very tense moment. You know what I mean? It's a very tense moment. Was it the alcohol? I don't think so.
No, hell no. It was he was losing everything.
Yeah.
When you backed into a corner, man, you do everything that you can to fight out of it.
Yeah. And it's understandable too.
He couldn't
everything. Out of it. Everything. What was it? 76 million. 76 million, bless you, brother. It's a lot of money.
It was.
that's why or 72. That's why
on top of the assets that he would have lost because he couldn't utilize the 76 million.
Yeah.
To upkeep the shit that he legitimized.
Yeah. So he was willing to take that 32. He was willing
37.
37. Thank you. He was willing to take that 37 and be about his business. That's why even in that scene where he says you could have waited 10 more seconds.
She could have.
But in her mind, listen, this is the thing that I don't think people understand. She thought she was helping her son by disconnecting from him, but he is an apparition of his father now. Yeah. Who she was disgusted with and didn't want him anywhere near her.
And outside of that lady, his wife, honestly, he loved her, but I don't think he loved her as much as he loved his mom, and I don't think he loved her as much as he loved Melanie.
Absolutely, you're right. I agree.
Was it Melanie or Melody?
Melody? Melody. It was Melody. Yeah, we call her Mel. Yeah. What do you guys say? Anybody watching the show? Anybody looking to binge it? I can tell you it is worth the binge.
Oh yeah, especially now you can sit and you can watch it uninterrupted.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're talking about 6 seasons. That's a long chunk of your life.
It's a great saga.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, and he created a great character. They all did. Everybody created great characters, great prototypes that you'll see in a lot of films in the future.
Yeah.
You want to see it. You know, you're gonna be like, oh, that's Franklin Saint, or that's Jerome Saint, or all the different characters.
Well, there's a show on. I guess this is just giving him a shout out, but there's a show on Amazon Prime called Swarm.
Yes.
And it's by Donald Glover. I'm a huge fan of him. He's in the first episode.
Yeah.
The first 2 episodes.
Yeah, the first 2. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you seen it?
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed it.
I thought, especially it was filmed around, during while Snowfall was going on too, man, and he took that same energy over to that show, I would say.
Yeah.
And seemed a little more authentic, to be honest, too.
Yeah. Well, because once you get it, you get it. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, he's a Brit, and he's originally from UK. He's not from the streets of Los Angeles or New York at all. And that makes a difference because we do have a contrasting viewpoint on certain things.
Yeah, we do.
But I think because he's been around those types of actors in that role, Franklin Saint,
for so long at this point.
Right, because
since 2017.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Yes, absolutely. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
The final part of him, do you think he sold it well? You knowing, because we know guys like that.
The way that he was walked, I bought it. Mm-hmm. I could see how well acted or how well performed he was, in those final scenes. And he seemed crazed,
Mm-hmm. But free.
Crazed but free. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, free from. He's like, nigga, all of that just for nothing. Unless you know it don't fucking matter.
That's terrifying. To invest
it's
your
funny
life.
because I was having this talk with Melvin last night.
Wow.
Man, telling him the same thing. Like all of this, he sees and it's like, man, was he talking about extra hours and all of that shit? It was like, man, just don't kill yourself over it. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day.
But that's why I'm Team Franklin, because I know he understood.
He understood how to get away from that being the reality.
Yeah.
And no one else really did outside of fending for themselves, which, I get that too. The number one rule of humanity is self-preservation, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone else kind of was self-preserving. Mm-hmm. And
he couldn't.
I said he looked out for a lot of people.
He did. He
He looked out for a lot of people.
I mean, the biggest blow was Peaches, but he should have saw that coming.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that to be.
Yeah.
I don't think that was necessary.
Yeah. But to cap it off.
But they had to do something.
Yeah.
So I get that. Mm-hmm. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah. Peaches, it's danger in the show when you pull people out of a show where people kind of recognize the importance of that character.
He was an important character at first, Mm-hmm. I thought it was crazy that they put him on dope.
Yeah.
But I mean that isn't a quite realistic of that era, man. The people you least expect.
Yeah.
People you least expect, and they just, man, shit happens. Mm-hmm. However it happens. Mm-hmm. It didn't matter if you was poor or rich. If you fall into that shit, man.
That's the phrase lacking. That's where that came from. Lacking, because Franklin was obviously lacking. When it came to Peaches.
Absolutely.
Let him in too deep. And that was the sign when he saw that money and he was leaning up against the doorway. It was just like, okay, it's not good. You can feel it. Like, this is not good. All shows give you a little, like, foreshadowing and warning of something is coming. The good shows can kind of, like, divert it. You know what I mean? They spent the whole episode, like, even Jerome was just like, it wasn't Peaches. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, he wouldn't have done that. You know what I mean? And once he got to that point where he knew,
crack would make you do a lot of shit.
Yeah. He was on the heroin too, man. That's like to the point where he's getting the infections. That's how bad it was. Jerome followed the trail of the breadcrumbs and realized, and he let it go. Yeah.
Because it ain't nothing you can do at that point, man. Because they gotta want it themselves, man. Man, we experienced a lot of that in the neighborhood that I grew up in. It really is only so much you can do.
Yeah.
Only so much you can do.
Yeah.
They gotta want it for themselves.
True.
If they don't, man.
Yeah. And that's with any form of addiction. That's alcoholism, drug addict, drug usage,
Bad diets.
Bad diets. Because that's a form of addiction as well.
It's an addiction.
Yeah. Okay, we're getting close towards the end of the segment when we're talking about Snowfall. Anybody got any questions or statements or comments about the show? If you haven't seen it, it is definitely binge worthy. It is on Hulu. I don't know any other platforms, but I know FX is Hulu. YouTube TV. A lot of different ways of watching it. Definitely want to be in the know with everybody. At the 9 o'clock mark on my end, this may end. I'm hoping that it doesn't, because I did do some things to get it going correct, but it happens. So if that happens, just know, sign back in. I'm going to restart the show on another channel, pretty much, in regards to another line going live. So, anything else you want to say about Snowfall? Anything else you got any comments about in regards to Snowfall?
I mean, I think overall it was a cautionary tale, full of tragedy, definitely entertaining. Shed some light on American history a bit.
Absolutely. Let's talk about that for a second, because
American history.
Well, that's going to lead us into a lot of what we're talking about on the next section.
Sure.
People don't realize that the drug game wasn't started by black people.
Nope.
It was started by our own country, by our own government, and it was a means to make money. The show is very real on that. I mean,
the U.S., Russia, over in the Middle East.
Yeah, anytime movements have to be made, the black community is used for those movements, and I don't think people realize that.
Well, all governments bought into it, something black people really don't understand about themselves, man. They have used us to sell everything in the world.
Yeah.
They've used us to popularize everything.
Yeah.
Pop culture is our culture.
Yeah. Yeah, crack wasn't an issue until it started moving out the black community.
Yeah.
That became a problem. So then they had to shut it down.
Because it was more addictive than cocaine.
Yep. And they had to shut it down, man. Middle-aged white people wasn't having it, because their drug of trade and choice was always cocaine, weed, heroin. It was mostly a Midwestern type of drug for them. You didn't see white people in urban cities or big cities just using heroin. That was like an anathema for a white family.
Yeah.
He's a heroin addict, LSD and those type of
psychoactive.
that was acceptable because their parents did it during the '60s, during the Woodstock movement. But crack, man, that thing, man, it was a joke until it got into the white neighborhoods, and they were like, yeah, this is.
Well, because it got a little bit out of their control.
Yep.
I think that was a portion that they couldn't really predict.
Well, black people created it, were cutting the shit out of it, right? Making it more.
Well, not even that. Just niggas they had upward mobility with money. Same with, as we seen with Franklin, man. You get a little bit of upward mobility, you somebody's gonna learn to branch out and mend the gap, sort of.
Yeah, Freddie wouldn't have got to his money had he not broken into his house and got his paperwork. Yeah. He would not have gotten to his money. And that's what because there were people online saying, well, he wasn't smart with his money. No, he was learning. Back in those days, for a black man of any caliber, all right? Because you got to understand, black women weren't even part of the process, right? And, Frankie, who she is on the show, not Frankie, Freddie, what's her name? It's Auntie.
God damn.
Yeah, she
whatever the fuck.
She was an anomaly in the show. I mean, there were chicks that were they were in the game, but they mostly were pushing hoes. You know what I mean? At least in my neighborhood. But they were supportive of the guys that were, pushing and slinging. It was unheard of for a black man to have that amount of money. Before, even in the heroin game, cats was making money, but even if they were, pushing hoes, they were making money. But the crack game was something totally different.
It was for anybody.
Yeah, and the amount of money that you could make.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why I love that the show showed, because he was always thinking about, okay, so I got all this money, I got to do something with it. And the Israeli guy, took him over there and everything.
Well, he realized very quickly, man, that what am I going to do with all of this sitting right here?
Yeah. Gotta launder it, gotta get it
Eventually,
somewhere.
somebody's gonna get the drop on me.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody's gonna get the drop on the motherfuckers that I fuck with.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept exploring what was next.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you seen very often, man. None of the other characters were really interested in that.
Nope, they were. You said it at the beginning of the show, man. They were comfortable with their circumstance. They were cool with it. You know, Little Man was cool with being the king of the project. Yeah. He was cool sitting in his chair. You know what I'm saying? Got them little niggas on the corners. You know what I'm saying? He was cool with that. You know, he beat up the bigger lion and took the position back. You know what I'm saying? You know, so moments like that was very reminiscent of what I remember growing up as a kid. Man, I wasn't really deep in the game at all, but I recognized a lot of people.
Whose areas.
Yeah, man. I had my own objectives. I wanted to be a martial art instructor. I had my own school, and I wanted to do music, and I had dreams. You know, and I'm not knocking ever any man that did what he had to do to survive and take care of his family at all. That's kind of why I side with Franklin at this age. Was I that way 30 years ago? Maybe
as a kid, not
different.
Really, you know.
No, different mindset. But I understand. Because I think if you do a rewatch of the show, there were moments where Franklin was spitting some stuff, man. Where he was like, when he told Freddie, he was like, guys that look like you are usually the ones that always win. Mm-hmm. Not this time. Not this time. You know what I mean? And he kept his word on that, but at the same time, he ended up.
Well, his mom kept his word.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
You know, but he did get him down to that step, but. And I think what his mother was afraid of was what happens if Teddy lives.
Right. Which is fair because she understood the FBI because she was a Black Panther. And her husband was a Black Panther.
And I think she also understood.
Which, if you don't know anything, guys, and everybody's watching, the Black Panther was destroyed from the inside out because of the FBI and CIA.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I think another thing that she understood that maybe Franklin was a little bit blinded by, and a bit egotistical and arrogant, was that if he did get the money and then she killed Teddy, the agencies are not going to stop coming after you, especially now that you got that money. Yeah,
because word filtered in through the agency.
And no way that they're going to stop at that point. Mm-hmm. You know, whoever that was, that CIA agent that was basically Teddy's point of contact, that was going to take him, you know, from the drop point and all of that shit after he transferred the money. Think that dude was going to stop looking for him?
Yeah.
If he got the money?
Yeah.
Hell no.
Yeah, I think, you know, in regards to his mom, man, Sissy, she was just so... And she always... Look, in the very beginning of the show, I had...
supportive.
To an extent, when she found out he was in the drug gang, she went through that... It was like almost that whole... A couple of episodes where she was just like, I don't want to deal with you. I don't have nothing to do with you. I don't want that money. I don't want nothing. You know,
she was scared.
Yeah. She
rightfully so.
Yeah. But at a certain point, I guess she felt like if she could be around him, that she could make the difference. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which was arrogant in her sense.
Well, she got blinded with the opportunity to be a real estate agent and sell homes and
make a difference. You know? Yeah. I think a lot of times we self-grandize ourselves in regards to what we feel we can do.
Absolutely.
In order to make something happen, we cover up the thing that we did to get that. And
right.
You know, it's a very interesting character study, man. It is. And would I watch it again someday? Maybe. You know, binge through it.
I would watch it.
Listen to some of the things that he was saying.
I may have downloaded it.
Yeah. Especially throughout the seasons, man. You know, Franklin was always saying some things that I don't think people were really catching on to.
Yeah.
I don't think they really caught on to what he was saying because he was very, very vocal about how the government treated Black people.
Yeah.
You know?
That.
Yeah, and that's right. And
just opposing viewpoints.
Yep.
Or not viewpoints, same viewpoints. The perspective was different.
Yeah, because he even told his mom right before she came on board. He was like, "Look, you've been doing for this man. Look how he's been treating you. You know what I'm saying? You've been helping him, and look what he did to you." And
which I think he was incorrect. And number one, it wasn't his place.
True.
It wasn't his place. Your parents' business is your parents' business.
But that's the love of him for his mom.
Yeah, sure.
So, you know.
Misguided, but that gets into what we got husband, sons, and all of that.
Yeah, because they had that little baby boy moment where it's like, you know, you're gonna choose him over me, and it's like that's your dad. You know what I'm saying? Like, and with Sissy, it was just like
he helped me create you.
Right, but the thing that I had an issue with was that the turnaround that she had in regards to, you know, her love for him, man, and it became, you know,
and it was because he cleaned himself up,
right,
and he became the revolutionary that he regained grasp of being the revolutionary that she fell in love with.
Yep.
And that you know, whatever work that they did with the Black Panthers together.
Yep. What do you think about? I was just about to say. There's that moment when his dad, when Teddy tells Sissy that like, you know, he's in. Did you read through the lie? And he goes, yeah, he's in. You know, I put him in.
Yeah, of course. I knew that was a lie, and then, but she didn't know, or she was hopeful, like maybe he's telling the truth, and then when he exposed that to her at the
way he said it too. Remember how he said it?
Yeah, when he exposed that to her at the phone call and shit, and it was so like, bitch, you crazy. You know what I'm saying? It was very.
I put two in a minute, you know.
So maybe she would have waited. The 10, you know, maybe that was the, and I guess that's the dramatic irony, where it's like, well, maybe she would have waited. Yeah. Who knows? I
hated the end of that episode. It made me feel, you know, one of the things that I've learned about content is how do you feel when it's like the feeling that I had when he was in there talking with his mom is the same feeling I had in Precious, which to me is one of the worst films ever made.
Yeah, I didn't like that shit. Yeah. I don't think it was warranted.
It wasn't. For him to call her out her name.
Even in a state of psychosis.
Yeah, no, for him to call her several times, he called out her name.
Because that meant that he valued, you know, he'd already lost his mind asking her to sell the house, asking her to sell the homestead. And,
yeah, money over everything. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and then he tried to manipulate her and tell her that she was never gonna get out.
Right. Yeah, it became
You know what I mean? Which she probably won't. But
right. But he, you know, he wouldn't need to say.
It seemed like he lost all faculty,
and he lost all humanity.
Again, I don't think that was indicative of his character.
It wasn't. Man. It wasn't.
I don't think that was indicative of the character that they built with him.
A white kid, yeah. You gotta understand how we see our mothers in our community, man. You know, no matter how much they've done wrong. What you said?
Later news. Y'all niggas still talking about this?
Yeah, we're about to move.
We can move on. We got about 5 minutes.
Yeah. All right. So, what's going on in the news, man?
What's going on in the news?
Yeah. What's going on in the news? Here you go, brother.
Sir. Let me get my dad.
If you're watching us on Instagram and on YouTube, make sure you follow us on our Instagram page, CMCT_show. Once we get back in the studio, we will be going pretty much fully YouTube. If you would like to support us in any capacity, you can go to our Linktree page, CMCT_show. Donate to the cause. We can take it through Venmo. We can take it through Cash App. We would appreciate anything you're capable to give.
Yeah, send us a meal ticket.
Send us a meal ticket, man. If you like what we talked about in regards to any of our previous shows, go back and rewatch them. They are listed on YouTube. You can watch at any given time. All of our shows are listed from the day that we started to up to today. So, yeah.
We did them individually. There was a set of tabs. I was trying to say those. I'll find them later, though.
Okay. All right. Sorry, my apologies.
No, you're good.
Okay, so talking about black people and dealing with
I don't know if you just seen that, but those are the other episodes that we hadn't posted.
Oh, okay.
Downloaded them finally.
Perfect.
Let's go to Google Chrome.
Yes.
Moving right along.
Boom.
There we are. Just the way I like it.
So if you haven't been paying attention to the news, a young man got shot. Young black man got shot recently. And it's funny because this kid is African, just like, remember the brother that got shot in his own home from the white police officer?
Yeah.
I always think stuff like that is kind of like, you know,
A little insane.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's convenient in a way.
I think so.
So this chick here, Hassan, she said, "Protect children."
That's my number one mantra.
Somebody else said, "Ringing the doorbell is not a crime."
No, it isn't. And it's not predatory. It's not threatening. I don't know if he was sitting there kicking on the door. No. Do they have any video footage? The people got ring cameras.
I know,
that
right?
kind of shit?
No, it just seemed like that type of neighborhood that didn't. They interviewed the mom, and I watched one of the interviews. I found it. You know, it's always that disconnect from us, from people who are immigrants here. Yeah. They just got the way she said it. She like, yeah, he knocked on the door to get the kids, but he got some bullets instead. I was like, what? Like, you know, that can't come out your mouth. You know. Justice for Ralph. His name is Ralph, and everybody come out. They got something to say. That's usually how it works. And he played saxophone, and this is the guy, man. Man. Look at this guy, man. So if you're on YouTube, you're catching, going through some of these photos here.
Yeah, that's ugly ass white.
Yeah, man. He look like straight out of the Munsters, man.
Yeah, that nigga's definitely ugly.
You know. So we're gonna get to the story.
A towel around the front of his shit.
Who knows, man? Who knows?
Maybe he was eating people when he picked him up. I don't know. Or was that a mugshot?
Yeah, that's his mugshot. Yeah.
For this or for something else?
For his incident. For this incident.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right.
Back this up a little bit. Alrighty. Man charged in front door shooting of black teen Ralph Yarl. Kansas City, Missouri. An 84-year-old white man in Kansas City, Missouri was charged Monday with first-degree assault for shooting a black teen who mistakenly went to the man's home to pick up his younger brothers. Prosecuting attorney Zachary Thompson said at news conference that there was a racial component Thursday night when Andrew Lester twice shot 16-year-old Ralph Yarl, who was recovering at home after being released from the hospital. But nothing in the charging document says the shooting was racially motivated, Thompson clarified. We understand how frustrating this has been, but I can assure you the criminal justice system is working and will continue to work, Thompson said. Yep, the criminal justice system is always working. Mm-hmm. It's a big fucking work. Mm-hmm. The shooting outraged many in Kansas City and across the country. Civic and political leaders, including President Joe Biden, demanded justice. Oh, did he?
I demand justice.
Nigga, you're the president.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You don't have to demand anything.
Anyway. Mm-hmm. Some, including lawyers for Yarl, pressed the racial dimension of the case. Yarl, an honor student and all-state band member, was supposed to pick up his two younger brothers when he approached the wrong house at roughly 10 p.m. Lester came to the door and shot Yarl in the forehead. Wow. Then shot him again in the right forearm. I mean, nigga, after a headshot, what else you think you gotta do? Mm-hmm. God damn. Mm-hmm. No words were exchanged before the shooting, the probable cause statement said. But afterwards, as Yarl got up to run, he heard Lester yell, "Don't come around here." The kid got lucky, man. So
it wasn't, for when they list the stuff, they say he got shot in the head.
In the forehead, yeah.
In the forehead, it must have grazed him.
It could have ricocheted inside and not hit his brain and shit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's happened.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's not extremely uncommon.
Right, and also the caliber of the gun makes a difference too.
Yeah.
It's not as strong.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Could be an old gun. Probably an old gun too, because he probably didn't oil it, didn't take care of it. Guns, if you don't know anything about guns.
I don't know, that's a white man. You sure he's not sitting there polishing that motherfucker like it's his penis or something? I don't know. Yeah, anyway. Where am I at? Joe Biden, so caring, told him not to come back around here. So, no words were exchanged before the shooting, the probable cause statement said, but afterward, as Yarl got up to run, he heard Lester yell, "Don't come around here," the statement said. Yarl ran to multiple homes asking for help before finding someone who would call the police, the statement said. Reverend Vernon Howard, president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference of Greater Kansas City, called the shooting a heinous and hate-filled crime. Vice President Kamala Harris wrote on Twitter that no child should ever live in fear of being shot for ringing the wrong doorbell. The Missouri Senate held a moment of silence for y'all on Monday. The civil rights attorneys for y'all's family, Ben Crump and Lee Merritt, said in a statement that Biden called y'all's family and offered prayers for Ralph's health and for justice. Gun violence against unarmed black individuals must stop, the lawyer's statement read. Our children should feel safe, not as though they are being hunted. Y'all's supporters plan to hold a rally Tuesday evening in Kansas City. The assault charge carries a penalty of up to life in prison. Good. Weird white dude. Lester also was charged with armed criminal action, which is a penalty range of 3 to 15 years in prison. Lester was not charged with a hate crime. Oh no, that should be some sort of enhancement at least on that motherfucker.
First thing.
Thompson said Missouri's statute is considered a lesser felony than first-degree assault and carries a less severe penalty. Missouri is among roughly 30 states with stand-your-ground laws which allow for the use of deadly force in self-defense, but the prosecutor determined the shooting was not in self-defense.
Right.
An arrest warrant was issued, but Lester was not yet in custody, Thompson said. Lester told police that he lives alone and had just gone to bed when he heard his doorbell, according to the probable cause statement. He said he picked up his gun and went to the door where he saw a black male pulling on the exterior storm door handle and thought someone was breaking in. A number for Lester was not in service on Monday evening, and it was not immediately clear whether he had an attorney to speak on his behalf. The shooting happened in a middle-class neighborhood in North Kansas City. Yarl didn't have a phone with him, and he went to the wrong block, his aunt Faith Spoonmore wrote on a GoFundMe page set up to help pay medical bills. By Monday afternoon, $1.4 million had been raised.
It's actually 3 now.
Good.
Yeah,
good.
3 million.
Good.
Yeah.
1.4 million had been raised.
Everybody. Yeah.
Police Chief Stacey Graves said that Yarl's parents asked him to pick up his brothers at a home on 115th Terrace, but he mistakenly went to 115th Street. The Kansas City Star reported.
Now, this is the problem that I had, because, we don't want to speak negativity into this.
Sure.
But the person that's been getting the most attention in regards to this situation has been his mother.
Sure.
I didn't even know he had a dad.
How old is he again?
He's 16.
16?
Yeah, 16.
10 o'clock at night?
Yeah.
I'm in a middle-class neighborhood. A white kid wouldn't have to worry about that.
But, where were the kids staying at? Somebody was babysitting them or what? Like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. A lot, I have questions. I always have questions. Questions. You know what I mean? What's going on?
Yarl is a bass clarinetist, excuse me, who earned Missouri All-State Band Honorable Mention and who plays several instruments in the Metropolitan Youth Orchestra of Kansas City, Spoonmore wrote. A statement from the North Kansas City School District described Yarl as an excellent student and talented musician. Spoonmore said Yarl is doing well physically, but has a lot of trauma to overcome emotionally. By Monday afternoon, the home where the shooting happened had been vandalized. Good, bitch ass nigga. Black spray paint on the side of the house showed a heart with 16 in the middle. Eggs splattered the front windows and the doors. A message seeking comment from Republican Governor Mike Parson, a staunch gun rights supporter, wasn't immediately returned. Wonder why. Crump, who has represented families in several high-profile cases of black people being shot, including those of Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Ahmaud Arbery. That's interesting.
He gets all the
why?
Yeah, that's the point. And not only that, I just found out today that Breonna Taylor, and what was the brother that got killed by the cops? By the black
recently?
cops. Just recently. Can't remember his name. But anyway, they both share the same birthday.
Interesting.
Yeah. Thought it was very odd.
I mean, we don't necessarily have to pull nothing out of the air, but just looking at it for what it is, man. You know what I mean? Ain't no telling.
I do know Crump is a Mason, so let's add to that.
Oh, well. Who knows?
Let's add to that. Boule.
But Crump represented. Yeah, so Crump, who has represented families,
everybody.
Yeah, all of the tragedies that we hear about.
All the news tragedies that make it to the high level news.
In several high-profile cases of black people being shot, including those of Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor and George Floyd questioned why the shooter wasn't arrested and charged immediately. We all believe that if the roles were reversed and this was a black citizen who shot a 16-year-old for merely ringing his doorbell, they would have arrested him and he wouldn't have slept in his bed that night, Crump said. Is Crump white?
No, he's black.
He's black?
Yeah. Boule, boule,
Is
boule.
he the new Al Sharpton or some shit?
Yeah, he been took over that spot.
You know,
Boule,
whatever.
boule, boule. Al Sharpton's walking the runway now. He's a model.
Is he? Please. I seen that nigga wearing some of his little outfits on Instagram. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
I seen that nigga wearing outfits on Instagram.
Brother.
That nigga ain't got no legs. Lady Muse says, my mom hates Crump. He's always around for a tragedy. And you know he's getting paid well every time with the same dusty speech. I haven't heard his speech.
Yeah, he's horrible. He's horrible live speaking. He can't speak
Jesse
well.
Jackson.
Boule, late.
Wouldn't have slept in his bed that night, Crump said. 2 days after Yarl was shot, a 20-year-old woman was killed by a homeowner in upstate New York Saturday after the car she was in... Hold on. 2 days after Yarl was shot, a 20-year-old woman was killed by a homeowner in upstate New York Sunday after the car she was in drove to the wrong address. What, like Uber or something?
Who knows?
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Washington County Sheriff Jeffrey Murphy said Kaylin Gillis was in a car with 3 others looking for a friend's house. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, not Uber. As the car was turning around, Kevin Monahan came out and fired 2 shots, one of which struck Gillis. Monahan was charged with second-degree murder.
Okay, I think a lot of this stuff that's coming out, you know, granted they may be true stories.
You think it's fear?
Yeah,
mongering?
I think a lot of it is fear mongering, and you know, still finding ways to disarm.
Keep showing us
to disarm.
Yeah, to disarm black people.
Absolutely. Period.
To disarm the general public in the U.S.
Some guns, man, getting rid of guns, and you know, stuff like this.
But that's effectively a police state. If we don't have any protection for ourselves.
Well, the thing is the way you do it is you get people passionate about something that they don't realize.
They don't understand.
Yeah, you know, and who hasn't done that? You know what I mean? You know, get them to make you take something away from that you wanted to take.
Well, I was telling one of my students last week, you know, one of the things that we don't understand is most people in America, especially white people, they don't protect themselves. They don't feel the need to.
Right.
And why is that? Well, we got the military, right? The service. That's a service that is provided by the government to protect citizens, to make us feel as though we are safer than we are. But then that's where we run into the issue of everyone is so safe, ideally, that there are people out who feel like they can do whatever it is that they want to others.
Yeah. And that just happened in Chicago. The kids wilding. We have a real serious morality issue in this country, in the world, period. But in this country, you know, America was always noted as being the country to hold the flag for everybody else.
Sure. And
when you see stuff like this, you know what I mean, people are basically doing what they're thinking. If this man hates black people,
he said, "Fuck it."
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna pull the trigger first and ask questions later. You know what I mean?
That is the way that they talk too.
Yeah, of course.
That's the way that they speak.
Of course.
You know, one of my examples is like these motherfuckers across the street, bro. Damn near at least once a week, because they got hella little white kids and all of that shit. It's a white family. These niggas be in their driveway having a pizza party. They park the cars on the street and have a pizza party right in the driveway. Literally boxes of pizza stacked crazy every week. And I always look at shit like that and say, black people, not that we couldn't have fun doing something like that.
It'd be a problem.
Well, not even that. Most of us don't think to do shit like that. That we have that kind of freedom.
That's right.
Without harassment and, you know, being berated and fucked with.
Yeah.
We don't think that way.
No, that's not an outlet.
Unless it's truly a neighborhood of our own. you know, we go to the park and barbecue, or we'll throw a barbecue in the backyard and all of that kind of shit. You know, most black people won't even celebrate in their own front yard. These motherfuckers, I swear, they're literally, I'll take a picture next time and send it to you. These motherfuckers have pizza parties in the driveway with all their little kids. You know? Relative to that, I remember me and my dad, my actual dad, when we lived in Vegas, they got a Cracker Barrel by the Gold Nugget, by the Gold Nugget Casino and Hotel.
Wow, yeah.
And we lived right up the street from that, but so we over, it's basically Henderson, but Vegas. So we go over there by the Cracker Barrel. It's like Saturday morning or whatever. We just we ain't got shit to do. And we over there fucking around, circling the parking lot, trying to find a parking spot. Cracker Barrel's gross, but we really did not have shit to do. Don't get it twisted. So, right out front, you know Cracker Barrel has the big ass checkerboard and all of that shit out front, right?
Of course.
The kids, there's a white family and there's a black family standing in line outside. The black kids are standing there fucking single file line. They don't look terrified, but I understood what that was. You bet not embarrass us in public. Right? We got a public image that we gotta protect.
Yeah, gotta uphold.
Right? Look like a decent middle class black family. The white family
losing their damn mind.
These kids are having the time of their fucking lives. They're enjoying that their family is able to go out and eat together and have a good time. And the black family standing there, them niggas they better not touch that checkerboard.
So,
you know what I mean?
With that being said, on the other end of the spectrum, like what happened in Chicago just recently, are we in trouble as a culture that our kids no longer are doing that and behaving like they should? That
that we have no order, we have no discipline.
Right, yeah.
We can't even mobilize together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
But they can mobilize together to do damage.
For dumb shit.
Yeah. Right.
Something without a cause, something that gives nothing back to the community, something that further villainizes us as a people.
Vilifies, yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't like it. I don't think it does anything for us. That our children are behaving this way.
Yeah, because the thing is that people are always quick to say, well, that's just a bad, exception of group of kids. And it's like, when you're looking at hundreds of kids, they can't all just be bad. You know what I mean? Some of these kids come from 2-parent households, and some of these kids, are, in school and doing things, but they're doing this crazy ass behavior.
Well, Lady Muse said, the Confederate flag didn't discourage you outside of Cracker Barrel. But nah, man. The issue I have with today's parents, I teach a lot of kids. I have taught a lot of kids over the years. The parents want their kids to be self-sustaining,
self-reliant,
but without guidance.
They're growing up too quick.
Without discipline, without instruction.
Yeah.
And they expect them to just deal with it. Because they felt abandoned growing up, probably,
Or they felt, because I've heard
too
people
restricted.
say, yes.
Yeah.
Which is an issue, because it's like, well, that's the job of
kids need to be fucking chastised.
You gotta have discipline.
Kids need to be kicked in the face and all kind of shit.
Yeah. A lot of it, we survived those ass whoopings, man. We survived them.
Well, the whole point of discipline, whether that be physical or not, and I'm saying discipline, not fucking abuse.
Right, no, yeah.
Discipline. No, nigga, don't put your hand in the fire. Slap the kid in the back of the head. What the fuck are you doing? You burn yourself. Right? No, don't steal. Now I gotta go home and spank you. If, after I told you the first time, you went and did it anyway. Right? There has to be something that registers in the mind that says, oh, no, I probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Outside of just words, if the words didn't work.
Right.
And some people don't learn.
Yeah.
Some people, what my grandpa says, man, hey, welcome in. As my grandfather says, man, the ass has an understanding that the mind can't comprehend. That's my screensaver when this shit ain't up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the ass does have an understanding that the mind can't comprehend. Some people just don't get it. Hard heads.
Yeah, we always used to say, it's best that you whoop your child, or else the government.
Yeah, I didn't even get to the fucking point. That is the point. Is that the parent teaches kids what the world will do to them if they don't have discipline and good behavior. You know what I'm saying? You can't conduct yourself out in society stepping on people's shoes and pushing motherfuckers around and think in your mind that there will be no recourse.
Yeah.
And that is what is on these kids' minds today. They don't have adults in their lives letting them know that they can't just do what the fuck that they want to do.
Well, it's the fear factor. You know, as human beings, we have a level of fear. We have a level of respect for order.
Respect,
yeah. A level of respect for order.
Because that's what brings about fairness.
Yeah, of course.
That's how we get a fair world.
Yeah, you know, I look at it as, you know, because I'm, you know, on a sense of who I am as a Christian man. If you don't fear God, you don't fear your parents, you don't fear your society, you don't fear what you're going to do to the other person. Black men for many, many years have had the problem of not seeing themselves in each other, not seeing the greatness in each other, because the damage is already done. That's how we're being brought up. You ain't shit. You ain't.
Well, just I was going to say how we're spoken to, the rhetoric surrounding our existence, with our own people. You know, our own family members, the women in our lives, even the men in our lives.
Yeah,
you know,
community,
our teachers, on television, the media.
Yeah, I was hearing someone talk about when they took a lot of the male teachers out of schools and brought in more females.
Yeah.
And so young men, especially young black men, have an issue with following the lead of a female. And that's not their fault. The thing is they're home with females all day, and then they come to school with females. They're going to treat the females at school the same way they treat the females at home.
Well,
if you feel like you ain't worth shit, or if you feel like you're jeopardizing,
that's how you're being talked to.
Yeah.
But even then, not only, in addition to that, when you see no men leading as a young man, and you know, men know deep down, you know, I am physicality. That's my existence. So when I'm receiving no guidance on this physicality and this thing that's growing in me, you know, 14, 15 years old, a young man thinks, you know, this starts happening, right? When nobody's telling you what that is, how to feel about that.
You don't know what to do with it.
What to do with that. That's dangerous.
Yeah, highly combustible.
Very dangerous.
Combustible, it's a matter of time.
Yeah, absolutely dangerous, you know, and that's the lack of presence of men.
Well, we need to bring back, you know, in the African culture, and in all cultures actually, it was very popular for the culture to have rituals.
Some sort of
ceremonies for young men to understand.
Young men and women.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, their position in the community.
The celebration of achieving
puberty,
womanhood,
manhood.
The ceremony of achieving manhood. You know
what that meant.
Now you're being charged, and that was a thing. You know, Mexicans, they still do like quinceañeras and all that kind of shit.
But that's because they're strong in their roots and their culture.
I forget what it's called for the Jews.
It's called a bar mitzvah.
Bar mitzvah.
Bar mitzvah.
Yeah. You know,
I've been to one of those. It's very interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting.
It's powerful, man.
It is, isn't it? They got to read from the Torah.
To receive that much, to be charged with that, you have to remember this is what you were.
Yeah, we don't.
That's
have
how
that
you gonna operate.
We don't have that. Black people don't have that at all. We don't have that. You're told when you're young, if it's just your mom and you're taking care of your family, you're the man of the house.
Yep, you got to protect us somehow. I know you're like 4 years old. You know what I'm saying? I know you just started putting underwear on and shit, but
yeah, you don't know what that.
You gotta,
those
you know,
hairs are growing.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You gonna have to go ahead and figure this out. Thanks, pal. You know what I'm saying?
Pat on the back.
That shit is fucked up, man. And I'm gonna tell the story again real quick. Well, my dad, man, he went out to go whatever, fixing the water heater or some shit, and I'm like 4 or 5 years old, man, and my mom is there. I think, you know, she might have been pregnant with my little sister or some shit. And, excuse me. Yeah, he says, hey, man, I want you to look after your mom, look after the house, I'll be back. Right? I set up my little fort on the, behind the couch and shit with my cover and my pillow.
Knocked out.
Passed out, fast asleep. And he got home. And it wasn't disappointment. It was, I'm going to show you how to correct that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you why this is important.
Mm-hmm.
I'll teach you. I'll guide you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? For me to still remember, I've had a brain injury.
Mm-hmm. That's something that sticks there. Yeah.
And I still remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And what it meant, and especially today what it means.
Yeah.
For me to pull up and my dad is proud of the man that I've become.
Mm-hmm.
That means something. And it's really unfortunate to know that a lot of young men won't have that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of young men will not have that at all. So anyway.
What do you feel about public school? Because I for many years have said I think public school needs to be diluted, and you need to give kids back to their parents for a hot second to let them know, you know what I mean, what that process is, because that's how it used to be before public school became initiated.
Yeah.
Reason why I'm asking that is because
well, this is the first time in human history that we've had organized education. Well,
and we know why they're doing it. That way,
sure.
they can program the kids to think the way they want them to think. The problem becomes is now that there's so much violence, right? So much violence. Teachers getting attacked in school. You just saw
the issue starts at home. It's because the kids don't. Nobody's telling them that they have to respect authority.
Mm-hmm.
And authority does exist for a reason, man.
Mm-hmm.
I get a lot of people's arguments of what it felt like and all of that bullshit, but nigga, look at what kids are doing right now.
Yeah.
Look at it's not like they got all this freedom and started going, you know what? Man, let me start working on these schematics for this time machine. Now that I'm not as stressed out as my mom and dad was having to keep up with their homework and do chores and shit.
Right.
Let me work on this time machine.
Right.
Now that I feel better than my parents did.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what's happening.
Mm-hmm. It's the total
They're
opposite.
thinking that they are the same as adults.
Mm-hmm. I can take what I want. I can do what I want.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Adults don't even think that way.
No. Yeah.
Adults understand, God, nigga, I might have to choose between bread and water this month.
Mm-hmm.
Food and electricity. I might have to choose between that.
Yeah, except the ones who are, they could care less about society, and they're out there walking in the stores and taking stuff, which, that's the politicians' fault, because they're lessening the repercussions of what you go through when you steal.
Yeah.
The stealing is wrong. Like, you shouldn't have the right to go in and take what you want to take. They were just talking about one of the Walmarts in Chicago. Like, they closed all
three of them.
Yeah, three of them in
three of their super centers.
Yeah,
closing down.
And now they're complaining. The people are complaining because they aren't in a place to shop.
But how many of them was in there stealing?
Right.
Now I'm all for it.
Right.
I'll eat a hot dog at Walmart. I'm not gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? But overall, order is
important.
It is important, man. It does mean something, and we have to start leading by example. You can't come home, to your children and make it okay to them that let's lay in chaos. Let's nobody do chores. Let's go have some fast food. You know what I mean?
Don't worry about your homework.
Fuck your homework. You don't need to know any of that. And none of that is healthy for us at all, man. It does nothing. It does nothing for the community.
Yeah, that's where we're at. I mean, we're not going to go over it tonight because we probably just need to do a show completely about
rearing children.
Yeah, and what's going on in the schools.
Sure.
Because that one incident with the girl and the phone, and she hit the teacher, and the teacher
seen
took
the
helmet down.
She whooped her ass.
Yeah, she had no choice. And I think the laws are so.
The lady on the bus.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, man, we should do a show on that. We'll talk about children.
Yeah, because it's important. I mean, we have to reiterate it consistently. I think a lot of times part of it, especially when we're talking about the black community, when you have no sense of pride, which comes from not knowing who you are and where you're from,
and having no structure, structure for you to have something to be proud of.
Yeah, because a whole community will hold you accountable. they do hold them accountable.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They will, even if it's street justice, they hold them accountable.
You know not to bring shame upon the family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You don't want to embarrass those that you come from.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want the people that your parents respect and the people that truly respect your parents to feel embarrassed
Mm-hmm.
behind your actions
Mm-hmm.
and your behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Your disposition. You work your best to say, man, I'm gonna be conducive to this that they've all established.
Well, a lot of it, especially when it came to the discipline, I remember when people started getting, the talk shows, as much as they may have helped people, they hurt people tremendously as well, because it was a thing of,
Well, they started worrying more about people's feelings rather than what actually made the most sense.
well, black people in general tend to want to be like other cultures. There's a shame.
Not understanding that the rest of the world is literally emulating
Them.
everything
Yeah.
about us.
Mm-hmm. There's a shame associated with being a melanated person. I'm not even going to say black, because, Africans and people who from other
come
cultures.
from other places, and they come here and they see how we're treated.
Mm-hmm.
So then they go, oh, I know I kind of fit the bill.
Mm-hmm.
So let me do my best not to associate with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that's why they always say, I don't know what it is to be black. What do you mean?
They'll emulate. They'll show up and they'll party with us, and But nigga, the moment they start talking about descriptions and who did what, oh no, I'm not black.
Mm-hmm.
Not me.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
So why is it important, guys? Why is it important that we as melanated people understand our roots, and we understand that we have to fight to make sure that the truth is out about certain things? Well, going into this next subject.
Sure.
This final segment of tonight, because we're probably going to be on this for a minute. As you know, that's a Antonio phrase right there. As you know, as you know, there's a new Netflix series that's out talking about.
Is it already out or is it coming?
It's coming out. That's why it's starting to get some heat about it. Is Cleopatra black?
That dirty white bitch.
Is she black? Is she black?
Well, there were multiple.
Was she black?
Allegedly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So before we even begin, well,
you can look right there and see if there's an issue with that. A huge issue with that.
That's a lot.
I mean, my man over there on the right is pink. How is that even possible?
Right
Now, this is the thing, guys. This is the issue that I have, and I've mentioned this on Facebook today. Until you understand that the region that these people are talking about can, for you to survive in that region, you have to have a certain amount of melanin in your skin.
Yeah.
You shouldn't even be talking about whether somebody was black or white in that region. And I don't care, because there were sects of Greek people who were actually melanated.
Sure.
Okay? So
they raped and pillaged.
Yeah, of course, but that's the bloodlines were always,
That was how it got made.
Yeah, of course. That's why when you look at Egypt,
Egypt wasn't Egypt until
there you go.
Greek.
There you go.
Egypt was Kemet first.
Right. And Africa wasn't Africa. That was named after a general.
Africanus.
Yes. Africanus, that was his name. Yeah.
Whatever his other name.
It was called Abulakan.
Akibulan.
Or Akibulan. That's the other pronunciation. Akibulan or Abulakan. Okay. In that regards, when you look at a lot of these photos and you look at some of the artwork that they can't get rid of, no matter how much they do their best to, they went to the Sphinx and all these other, statues and chopped the noses off. And that was actual.
That was a war.
Yeah, it was a war thing. The Nazis went in and did a lot of that because they went and worked along with Italy and all these other places and went into
French.
Yeah.
French motherfuckers been hating on Africa for a long time now.
Yeah. And even I saw a documentary where the French archaeologists went and hid things.
Mm-hmm. They've been
about the stuff that they found
for centuries.
Yeah. He found stuff and hid it because he was upset in regards to the fact that it was different than what he expected it to be. A lot of these photos that people are posting to show that Cleopatra was a European woman, in a sense, with European features, are false. They're forgeries. They're not real. And you have to understand the essence of why people do what they do.
Well, another thing is we have to know which Cleopatra they're talking about.
Very, very true. Very true. There were different Cleopatras. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So this is something that's going to blow up really big, and we'll also
continue to cover it.
Cover it. But we're also going to talk about whitewashing and blackwashing.
Sure.
So we're going to start off with this and then go into what's going on with all of this stuff.
Let me start.
Because there is something behind this.
Sure.
You have to understand that.
So,
Richard, what's up, Ivan?
Was Cleopatra black? What does it say? I'll come back to that.
Okay.
Was Cleopatra black? A new Netflix series is reviving an old controversy.
Now, mind you, for it to be controversy, that means that
somebody's been fucking and tampering with it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
The monumental legacy of Cleopatra, queen of the Ptolemaic kingdom of Egypt, is frequently eclipsed by reductive, contemporary discussions over her identity. She has been variously claimed as Macedonian, Greek, Egyptian, and African. So I believe based on that, they're probably talking about the final Cleopatra, which is the bitch-ass white woman. Perhaps white, can't say. Well, but she tore down. She fell Egypt, basically. It had already been on the decline for a while, but that was because the Greeks showed up and started hating. And then Alexander the Great, you know, she welcomed them in, you know, whatever. We won't be history niggas tonight, I guess.
No, we're just going over this.
Debates over Cleopatra's race was reactivated after Netflix released a trailer for its 4-part docudrama, Queen Cleopatra, last week. What the fuck is a docudrama?
That means that it's...
I get it. Yeah, I'm saying.
Right, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's either it's a documentary or it's a drama. And in any regards, basically, you're telling your perspective and your point of view. Yeah. Docudrama. So you can say, we can put a little fiction in there, and we'll tell some of the truth.
Reenactments are dramatized for, for whatever.
Yeah.
That's because we don't have Cleopatra.
Right.
I get that, but nigga, whatever. Starring Adele James, a black actor. The series is also being narrated by Jada Pinkett Smith, who says she wants the show to represent black women. This has led some, including Egypt's foremost archaeologist, Zahi Hawass, to reiterate that Cleopatra, who was born in Alexandria, Egypt, in 69 BC into the Ptolemaic dynasty, was of Macedonian Greek ancestry. That's true. One Egyptian lawyer, Mahmoud.
Good job.
You know what I'm saying?
Had a little of the Fleming in it, too.
Al-Samari. I did study Arabic.
Okay.
Was so incensed by the Netflix portrayal that he is taking legal action. Wow.
God damn it.
Crackers. Or niggers. That's what it is. It ain't crackers. Niggers. Goddamn niggers. Was taking legal action. At the same time, some Egyptians have raised concerns about racism and colorism in modern-day Egypt, an Arab country with its own black population.
Now, let me explain something to you guys. If you go to the Museum of History in Egypt, and you look over the top of the museum, there is a main dynasty, the Nubian dynasty, which has been chiseled away, literally gone.
Don't even talk about them.
Don't even want to talk about them. It had nothing to do with them. They said, no, we don't, it didn't exist. It's like, what?
But in reality, debates around Cleopatra's racial identity are ahistorical because they reflect contemporary views about race rather than how people were understood in ancient times. Sounds like word soup. I'm going to read it again because that's definitely word soup. That was bullshit.
Yep.
But in reality, debates around Cleopatra's racial identity are ahistorical because they reflect contemporary views about race rather than how people were understood in ancient times. Meaning that they don't think we should be focused on her race. We need to be focused on what everybody was doing.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
No, it's important to know who these people were.
Yeah, of course.
It's very important to know who these people were.
Well, that's why we have kids running around killing each other and acting the fool.
They don't know who the fuck they are.
Yeah, right.
Some experts say they highlight the modern conceptualization of race that became prevalent during the 17th and 18th centuries. It started in around the 1200s when the Europeans started hating on niggas and traveling around the world and fucking people up. Yeah, the Dutchmen, really. 17th and 18th centuries. But anyway, they took off, they shaved off, was that about 600 years?
We learned from Africans, actually.
Yeah.
How to sell.
The Zulu and such, you know, but whatever. To ask whether someone was black or white is anachronistic and says more about modern political investments than attempting to understand antiquity on its own terms.
That's worse.
Rebecca?
That's worse stew right there. That ain't no soup. That shit is thick.
They just fucking lie, man. They do anything to take niggas from niggas.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
They will do anything to take niggas from niggas.
Demelanate you.
God damn. I'm gonna read that one more time. To ask whether someone was black or white is anachronistic and says more about modern political investments than attempting to understand antiquity on its own terms. Rebecca Futo Kennedy, an associate professor of classics at Denison University, tells time.
And if you guys notice, there's usually very few black, you know what I mean, archaeologists. Yeah. There's very few
that are what is the word?
Used to as
publicized. They don't talk about it. You know. To ask whether someone I already read that, my bad. If we want to be more historically accurate, we need to understand how ancient peoples consider their ethnicities instead of universalizing and dehistoricizing our own views, she adds. This is crazy, nigga. Because I ain't gonna lie, I've never heard the word ahistorical before. That's a new one. And dehistoricizing. There's a hyphen, so you know that word is fucking fake. She adds, here's what to know about Cleopatra, Egypt's last pharaoh, so it was the last Cleopatra, and the discussions around her identity. Cleopatra the 7th, oh, my bad.
Was the 7th.
Why would they put it both ways?
Right.
Anyway, Cleopatra.
People don't know Roman numerals.
Oh, well, okay, fair enough. I'm the 4th, so you know I get it.
You get it.
Cleopatra was the 7th. But most well-known Egyptian ruler to hold this name. Most focused on because she was watered down by the Macedonians and the Greeks.
And the story was bullshit. That's part of it.
Yeah.
Dramatic story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Killed yourself, and this guy had killed himself over love.
Yeah, you know, hey Alexander, come on in. Whatever. She was the last member of the Ptolemy dynasty to rule Egypt after 5,000 years of Pharaonic? My bad. Whoa. Let's read that one more time. She was the last member of the Ptolemy dynasty to rule Egypt after 5,000 years of Pharaonic rule. Her reign lasted 21 years before she died by suicide in August 30 BC. Fucking quitter. Cleopatra was the second of 5 children born to King Ptolemy the 12th and his wife Cleopatra the 5th. Tryphania?
Tryphania.
Sure. Is that her name? Or?
Yeah, Tryphania.
She undertook medical studies as well as learning philosophy, rhetoric, and oratory, and was believed to speak many languages in addition to her native Greek. Native Greek.
Right.
Isn't that something?
Right.
Cleopatra was the first Ptolemaic ruler to learn native Egyptian. Native Egyptian. Let me tell y'all something. You know, I hate to be this nigga right now. There's no such thing. There is no such thing. Yeah, today they call it what they call it because it's been so long. Egypt was killing until hating ass Romans and Phoenicians, the
Arabics,
fucking Arabs, the punk ass Greeks. You know what I'm saying?
Written there and fucked everything up.
Came in and fucked them over and started, you know, they tore everything down. So no, it was not this thing. They really fucked with the timeline. Anyway, where was I at?
Cleopatra was the first Ptolemaic ruler to learn native Egyptian, a now extinct language that...
there we go. Cleopatra was the first Ptolemaic ruler to learn native Egyptian, a now extinct language that spoken Coptic descended from. Egyptian Arabic is the most commonly spoken vernacular in Egypt today.
That's crazy.
Upon the death of her father, Cleopatra ascended the throne in 51 BC, sharing with one of her younger brothers, Ptolemy the 13th.
Yeah.
Is that incest?
She ended up killing him. Yeah, she ended up killing him.
That's incest.
It is.
You can't have a brother and sister be king and queen.
No, not at all.
Anyway, but she eventually claimed the so-called double crown, replacing her brother as sole ruler.
Now you gotta understand what the double crown means. When you see the two serpents, it indicated two different parts of the kingdom that was migrated together from the Nubians as well as the Egyptians that were there. So that happened once Shabaka and Paye got in and took shit over. So I learned that late in life, unfortunately.
Well, the thing is, most of us...
Because I used to question that. Why is there two snakes?
Well, the thing is, most of us, even the shit that we're sitting here talking, they're like, what are these niggas talking about? I'm just watching Netflix, you know?
Talk about Jonathan Majors.
You know, whatever, man, I get it. But what do we know about her ancestry?
Oh, here it goes.
The Ptolemy dynasty descended from Greek Macedonian roots and ruled ancient Egypt during its Hellenistic era, with marriages typically occurring within the family.
That's what you mentioned.
There's the incest. The dynasty was established, when Alexander the Great conquered Egypt in 323 BC. The part of Cleopatra's bloodline that remains a mystery is that of her mother and paternal grandmother. Ain't no mystery.
Ain't no mystery.
That's the niggas.
Yeah.
That is the niggas.
Yep.
Don't get it twisted.
Yep.
And more than likely, they were Nubian.
Yep.
However, many experts say there is no evidence to suggest either woman was black. Who are experts? Who are the experts?
Right.
They don't have a title, an actual title of some sort.
Listen, one of the things you gotta understand is that the Egyptian culture, a lot of these cultures, especially like the Hebrew culture and stuff like that, they recorded a lot.
They recorded everything.
So how is it you don't know that?
The starts with a V. The Vatican.
Yes, they got everything.
Roman Catholic ass niggas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they got everything. Even during the Crusades, they wiped a lot of stuff out, man. They went in and took stuff from the Nazis, man. You know, the Russian craze.
They got a lot. They got a lot of Northern and Southern America.
Yeah, man.
History.
Yeah.
You know. However, many experts say there is no evidence to suggest either woman was black. As Dwayne W. Roller, a professor emeritus, of classics at Ohio State University, wrote for the Oxford University Press blog in 2010, assuming, however, that Cleopatra's grandmother was not from the traditional Macedonian Greek stem, the question arises as to just what she was. Nigga. She was nigga. That's it. She was nigga. And she was good at it.
Yeah.
Sources suggest that if she was not Macedonian, she was probably Egyptian. What is Egyptian? Egypt didn't just fall out of the fucking sky. God damn. She was probably Egyptian. So by the time of Cleopatra's grandparents, there may have been an Egyptian element. What does that mean?
Oh, man.
Sources suggest that if she was not Macedonian, she was probably Egyptian. So by the time of Cleopatra's grandparents, there may have been an Egyptian element. The shit was already documented.
Right.
So what the fuck is there to wonder about? She could have been Greek, Macedonian, Egyptian, and Roman all at the same time, Kennedy says. She notes that the gaps on Cleopatra's family tree leave room for people to misinterpret indigenous Egyptian identity as black. Wow. This is getting crazy. To misinterpret indigenous Egyptian identity as black. The indigenous Egyptians were the fucking Nubians at that point.
They went in and fucked and made all the babies.
The Native Americans,
were indigenous.
The indigenous black people here.
Native American,
Get the fuck out of here. It was not America. Anyway, the reality is that one can say that there were ancient Egyptians we would today consider black, insofar as they were non-Arab, non-Phoenician Africans.
What the hell, man? This is
Kennedy
crazy.
says. She notes that references to black-skinned Egyptians are present in ancient texts, but there is a gendered element to this.
What the hell?
Ideologically, women were associated with pale or white skin, and men with dark or black skin. This is a gender division, not ethnic or modern bioracial. God damn, there's a lot going on in this article, nigga. This is crazy.
How's that even possible?
It doesn't even make sense. So this is the expert, assuming this motherfucker has a doctorate of some sort, at the very least a master's. And this is the conclusion that she came up with.
Yeah.
I'm going to read that one more time, because it's actually insane. The reality that one can say that there were ancient Egyptians we would today consider black insofar as they were non-Arab, non-Phoenician Africans. Kennedy says, she notes that references to black-skinned Egyptians are present in ancient texts, but there is a gendered element to this.
That's crazy.
Ideologically, women were associated with pale or white skin and men with dark or black skin.
Yeah, this is the problem.
This is a gender division, not ethnic or modern bioracial.
This is a problem. This is a problem. Somebody will read this and believe everything that they read.
It's insane. Luckily, people don't read today. Kennedy adds that visual representations of Cleopatra that more closely resembled Egyptian rulers have been historically overlooked in favor of her likeness on coinage, which is more closely aligned with standard Greek iconography. These objects are for different audiences and reflect different aspects of Cleopatra's identity. We should not separate them, but in our modern search for singular identities, we restrict Cleopatra in ways that she was not restricted to in her own life. Why do they keep trying to make that a fucking thing?
Gender.
Dude?
Yeah, she's a gender.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
what we need to focus on, the gender. No, we're asking you what your thought was in regards to her being black.
Nigga, that's it.
That's bottom line.
God damn.
Oh, here it goes. Here it goes.
The messy debate over Cleopatra's race. Racial classifications as we recognize them today are largely a product of 17th and 18th century Western anthropological thought, particularly during the European Enlightenment. You mean...
There it goes.
You mean...
White...
Nigga...
Whitewash.
What's his name? Columbus.
Yeah.
And, who the... Was it?
Yeah.
The 1492?
Yeah.
That nigga? But before him, his ancestors, the Dutchmen, they started fucking around with people in the 12th century, the 13th century. That was the European Enlightenment, was, I wonder if there's other people in the world. Who can we go fuck with? Who can we go steal from? Our food is bland. We don't really like it.
Yeah.
You know, what can we do?
That's out of boredom.
Yeah, sure. The publication of the book System of Nature in 1735 saw Swedish naturalist Carl Linnaeus, which really that nigga was a Dutchman, classify humankind into 4 distinct varieties. Race began as a human-coined shorthand to categorize groups based on continent and skin color. Wow. Yep, the Dutchmen. We're getting. This is leading into the East Indian, Company.
Yep.
You know. As such, these classifications were created far too late to accurately apply to ancient civilizations. There is a tendency in the modern world to fixate on famous figures of the past who represent civilizations. Here they go. Jesus Christ. Kennedy says, she adds, there will always be groups who want to flatten and claim Cleopatra one way or the other.
Yeah, white people.
To suit their neighbor.
White people.
It's just y'all. Ain't nobody else trying to steal history, nigga. It's just y'all.
Yeah, change history, steal it, make it theirs.
Jesus. But Kennedy says asking if Cleopatra was black, white, or another race is the wrong question, because it suggests that these are universal and not historically contingent categories. She is just using words, ain't she? She adds, it means that we continue to have the same conversations decade after decade instead of actually learning more about how the ancient world considered its own identity.
Because y'all won't tell the truth. Tell the truth.
This is a hell of an article, man.
Yeah.
Hell of a fucking article.
Yeah.
It's so much. Goddamn, I didn't expect this to be this.
It's insidious.
Ridiculous, man.
It's insidious. It's insidious.
Goddamn, that was a lot.
It's insidious. I mean, just from the trailer alone, you can see how they did it.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody light skin except that one pink. But look at it.
The nigga to the right.
Right.
And back there is an Arab.
So you said that they were darker skinned. Right? This is what she said in the article, that they were dark. I don't see that.
The men were of dark skin.
Yeah, the men. I don't see that.
She said dark or black.
Yeah, I don't see that.
Well, she said the women. She's not in charge of this. To be fair,
they didn't go to her because it didn't fit her the narrative they wanted to tell.
Yeah, you know. So maybe
because I can guarantee you, there's gonna be some Asians mixed up in there.
Oh yeah, sure.
There's gonna be some Latinos up in there. It's like, what is going on? Why are y'all doing this? You know, we're probably not gonna have time to get to the whitewashing and blackwashing.
I mean, that's for sure.
You know, we'll probably do that next Tuesday. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is wild, man. And even with Jada Pinkett being involved, that should tell you something.
Well, she's narrating, man.
Yeah.
She's speaking for the black women.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Much like herself.
Mm-hmm. She want black women to have pride.
I don't know. What can I say about Jada Pinkett, really?
That she loved Tupac.
She did love Tupac. Her daughter loves Tupac. Shit, man. It's 9:52.
What a mess.
It's really unfortunate. I didn't know that article was going to be that fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. And it's funny because the boards are all lit up about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's
They're
what's going on, Dimitri. Yeah. They're lit up about it. People, you know, it's something that people are really, really protesting about, you know, and then it becomes this political thing, which is bad, you know, because the thing is that you're not really educating people. You're just getting people on your side to prove your point and to move something,
it's
an agenda, a narrative. That's bad, man.
Well, because we're getting into, you know, they expect everyone will be the same race.
That's the whole thing.
What they said, the next 30 years.
Yeah, that's the agenda. That's the objective. But that's only here in the States, because other countries, man, they're very
don't play that shit.
Yeah.
They care about bloodline.
They're very big on bloodline.
All animals do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All animals do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I don't, man. I get it. I was gonna say
the monkey ain't gonna go and screw a fish. It's not happening.
I guess I don't get that more people are not
educated.
How can you not see, man?
Mm-hmm.
How can you not see?
Well, it goes back to what I said, man. Before you even begin to debate or talk, if you look at debate, this is the thing. People always say that they trust the science. Basic science says that for a person to be in a heated environment to survive and to be able to thrive, there's a level of melanin that has to be in that person to survive against the sun.
Absolutely.
Period.
It's carbon.
Period.
Everything in the world.
Period.
Atoms.
Yeah. So for people to even argue, for her to even say in that article that the women were pale,
even light consists of a high amount of carbon.
And people would read that and use that as a means to prove their point.
That's an argument. That's definitely an argument point for somebody.
Yeah. See what she says. She's an archaeologist. She knows everything. She's an anthropologist. She knows everything. She's got a degree. She's educated. Well, who taught her knowledge? And did she get in the time machine and go back and see, or did she ignore, just like they did, the anthropologists of that time and the archaeologists? Did they ignore the stuff that they found? There was an actual documentary where the guy that went over to Egypt was digging. He found stuff and he was disagreeing with it and throwing it to the side, like no. And there was one archaeologist. He said, yeah, man, white guy. He was like, yeah, you know, for them to say that these people were not black, you know, I'm offended as a white man. This is what he was saying.
They wrote it on their walls.
Yeah.
They wrote it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they couldn't come up with a way to make white.
Yeah, they had to.
Nigga.
Yeah.
This man, look. What can I say?
Yeah.
What can I say, really, man? Y'all be careful out there. White people's coming for your skin
and your history.
Yeah. You know, they want a piece of it. Man.
Yeah.
So just leading into the weekend, man.
Do your research, man. Yeah. Do your research. Google is your friend.
You know, you don't have to sit and complain without informing yourself. You don't be a rebel without a cause.
Good.
You know, you have all the technology in your hand to find out the truth, or at least to gain clarity on what it is that perplexes you. All right, so. Yep, that does it.
Yep.
Y'all niggas have a good night.
Good stuff, guys.
We had a good time. See y'all on Tuesday.
Muscles on his lonely back. I stay calm and fact. I've been on the grind so long, hoes can never call me that. Please keep it short. I don't speak for all the rap. I'm your mechanic. I don't want no parts of whack. Keep throwing darts and wax. I'ma melt you. Every beat got a birthday. I just make it special. Muscles on his lonely back.